Alright guys, let's take a look at the rest of that package from Lytake. Starting with this kind of universal holstery thing, which the material is rather thin. It almost feels like construction paper with maybe polyester, almost like a tent material, like a rainfly kind of material on it almost. That honestly, I couldn't really find a blaster that this really fit, that I was like, hey, this is a holster that I could use. For starters, any orientation, I mean, obviously the strap here is adjustable to, you know, hold bigger blasters or smaller ones, but no matter, just based on the shape and everything, it always put the leg strap in a situation where if your leg's here, the blaster's kind of aiming off, kind of in a weird direction. Like, I mean, ideally you'd want the strap, you know, here and have the blaster kind of right alongside, but I couldn't really make a blaster fit well in there to the point where I was confident that it wouldn't fall out or fall off or something running around. Obviously these straps are not designed for somebody of my shape. I couldn't really get them strapped onto my leg, but somebody of a normal size might not have a hard time with it. The buckles seem, I mean, considering the whole holster thing itself was, I believe, under $5, you kind of get what you pay for, I guess. The buckles are really, it's a really kind of a soft plastic. It doesn't really have that really confirming, like a snap click that makes you feel good about it. The straps themselves are an awfully thin material. It is nice that it has a bit of a elastic on the straps. That way, when you're kneeling down or squatting or whatever, then it's not going to like bind up on your leg. It's going to have a little bit of room to give. But like I said, the shape, you can make it shaped to where it, you know, works relatively well, but it leaves it kind of in a weird direction. Also, there's no strap on the bottom or anything to keep the blaster from just like continuing to creep down. There again, it kind of depends on the shape of the blaster you're trying to use. It would make me feel a little better. I've seen other third-party holsters have kind of an adjustable loop that just kind of loops on the bottom that keeps your blaster from dropping out. It was pictured on the website with a magnet in it, but it's not really something that you can really draw out of, because obviously the Magnus is kind of a big guy, but it kind of binds up down here, so it would work, I guess, if you just need something to strap a blaster somewhere so it's just available, and then you know, turn it loose, but then you're not counting on dropping it back in easy. I guess if you're watching this review or if you've seen this product and you look at it and you're like, hey, I can make that work, or that would be ideal, or, you know, some kind of weird loadout thing I'm doing or whatever, then I suppose that's up to you. I can't look at this and say, oh, I can totally see somebody using this for a variety of applications without a modification. It's got potential. I mean, it's kind of got the rough shape. It's got the cool adjustable strap thing. It's got the leg straps here. I think if I was to try to use it much, I would try to move the straps perhaps, or integrate them into something else. I guess it's got the dart holders, which actually, as far as these little elastic dart holders go, they don't put the killer hug on your dart that pinches them in half, like, say, the Nerf bandolier or the Nerf brand vest and stuff like that. You know, they are fairly easy to get into, so if you want to, you know, use that for something like that, or recycle this part of things, then, I mean, it's got that going for it. But, yeah, I can't really give this a solid, like, you know, totally go buy it because it's the best thing ever. But it is, like I said, it was $5 or below if I recall. It does give you enough things that you could modify it to fit your need, which, as, you know, Nerfers, we generally tend to, are kind of accustomed to adapting things to fit our needs. I did find, was it this guy? Yeah. I was able to get it to kind of fit the hammer shot, but there again, it puts the strap to where this thing is just like actually aiming out you know, at a 90-degree angle from your leg, which is, I guess if that's your thing, then cool, but it does leave it open. I think I would be more inclined to, you know, move the straps to more this side, perhaps. You know, here where it's still a little big, have that on the side of your leg. So yeah, I mean, I could probably make that work, but there again, it's not something that I'm confident in to recommend to you guys, not knowing your background or what your needs are or anything. So it's there if you need it, and the link to the product will be provided in the description box, but it's not something that I'm super duper enthusiastic to pass along to you guys. Next is an item that I was actually very excited about and had high hopes for, but, well, if you know anything about the history of third-party mega darts, then this kind of goes right along with. When megas first came on the scene, or then, I mean, megas are expensive, and so it didn't take long for the third parties to come out and produce their own, you know, the Chinese knockoff mega darts. But every review I've seen for every distributor and every brand and every name I've used with the third-party megas has always been slightly undersized on the foam, and the foam itself's been a bit weak, which mega foam is already, you know, pretty weak in the first place because it's awful thin. But I tried them in all the mega blasters I have, and I have a tried them in a Baron, Cyclone Shock, Big Shock, Roto Fury. Didn't bother trying them in a Centurion because nobody really uses Centurions for shooting megas. But one of the biggest problems is, you know, you load the darts up, and then as soon as you point the blaster down, or if you run around or bump the blaster at all, they start to work their way out, which doesn't really work well for revolvers and things like that, where you're counting on all the darts staying in place so they don't bind up, you know, on the rotation. So they did tend to fall out if you kind of got in here and kind of, you know, opened the back end up a little bit, put a little flare on there. They'd kind of work once, but even when you could get them to seal a little bit, they didn't fly very well. They whistled. I mean, they do whistle pretty good. There's an awful lot of casting flash from the mold process on some of these, but they do whistle pretty good. But I think the reason they whistle more is because they tend to travel at a lot slower velocity, so you get more of a speed that the whistling seems to work better. I mean, I know megas, the Nerf brand megas, don't tend to whistle as good when they're shooting really, really fast until they get out their ways and slow down, then they whistle pretty good. But these, they just kind of cruise out. They don't really have that velocity that you like to see from the Nerf megas. They just kind of cruise out, which they get probably half the range I was getting on the springers. After running them through all my springers, I decided to put them through my Mastodon, which is rewired to 3S, and even with that, loading the darts up, turning the blaster upside down and just giving it a shake, I had a couple, especially these suction tips, which I was really hoping would be good, just drop out. Some of them came out halfway, which would have gotten bound up, you know, on the rotation mechanism. So there again, it's unfortunate. I was really had high hopes for these because I do like Mega, and I've been hoping for a decent third-party Mega Dart to come out, especially something at a good price, and especially with these coming out an awful lot like the Busby XL, you know, Mega equivalent darts. But these have a lot softer head, which was good because a lot of people, especially running rival blasters converted to, or rival flywheelers converted to run megas, they tend to rip the heads off of the Busby darts because they're a lot stiffer head. But these here are awful squishy, so I really had, you know, there again, had high hopes. But these ones are kind of weird. I mean, even coming out of the Mastodon, they didn't just like arc, they just kind of cruised, but they kind of wandered back and forth, and it was really awkward because the tail would kind of hang a little bit. It was weird. It was really just disappointing for the most part. I mean, these will technically work. Like if you need Mega Darts just to fill a niche somewhere, like if you, especially for youngsters who, you know, don't necessarily care about peak performance, then these are probably pretty good because the dog's just going to chew them up anyway. They technically work kind of, but they don't really work enough to where I can highly recommend them or really recommend them at all. There again, it's really disappointing. But there again, if you just need something to have, like you just, like for display purposes, if you just need darts to have in something to make it look cool, at this point you're grasping at straws. Darts, rather. But, so there again, quite a disappointment. I honestly really had my hopes up for these ones, but oh well, you know, you can't win them all. But yeah, final verdict, I'm gonna have to pass on these ones. Now, third-party 12-rounders aren't really a new thing. In fact, there's getting to be more and more distributors of those, and becoming available in more and more fun colors too. But some of the first 12-round magazines that came out were transparent or translucent, see-through on both sides. But one of the biggest issues was the notch where the magazine locks into place was cut too low, and so you had to notch them out a little bit, which I was counting on, you know, assuming this is probably some of the same tooling, where it's like similar to Nerf but not quite, because if you remove the labels then it's legal. But these fit in some blasters right out of the box, because of just manufacturing tolerances being what they are for mass-produced pieces like Nerf blasters. Some blasters are more accepting of these than others. Some of them you had to kind of ram them in there a little hard to get them to stick. But the main problem is that the hole, the hole wasn't in the wrong place, or it wasn't misaligned. It was just a result of the tooling. The hole was kind of bow tie shaped. I mean, the top, instead of being flat, was kind of peaked down a little bit to where the top portions, the top corners, if you will, of the hole were in the right area. It's just that the middle came down too far. And so just a, you know, literally like a minute or less with just a little needle file and just working it straight. And these fit now in everything. I've tried these in every blaster I own, every flywheeler, every Springer. We're talking Retaliators, Alpha Trooper, Rampage, Slingfire, Stampede, Longshot. Just looking over here in my box of blasters. Sentinel, Reaper. I think there's a Champion in there I tried. All the Flywheelers, Strife, Modulus. I didn't try them in a Demolisher because I don't have a Demolisher in one piece right now. The only issue I had was on the Hyperfire. It just kind of hung up a little bit. It still fit in just fine, came out just fine, but it wasn't a nice, real smooth insertion. One thing I did notice on the Raven and the Accustrike, they both have a switch inside the magwell which doesn't allow you to rev the blaster when the magazine's not inserted into it, and there's a little tab that sticks out that the magazine catches, and that's what pushes the switch in, completes the circuit, and you can rev it up. It tends to snag on this seam here, just where the little lap over is, where the magazine halves are held together. It tends to just kind of clip that, and so it's kind of clunky coming in and out. But if you have bypassed those switches anyway, then it's not really an issue. And I didn't have issue with fit on anything else. The width, some magazines, especially some of my old Stampede mags, tend to be a little puffed out a little bit, I think just from age, and so they're a little snug going into some magwells. But these fit very consistently. I tried these, like I said, I just sat down at the bench, drug over a tote full of blasters, and just, you know, inserted these, put a couple darts in them, ran them through, never had any jams, so they performed right on par with the Nerf brand. They don't, like when they're dry, it's kind of makes a, you know, not quite that smooth noise that a Nerf magazine makes, but that's just a matter of the materials used and the manufacturing tolerances and stuff like that. But they do function perfectly. I ran these in, like I said, Springers just fine. There's no interference with the top here or anything like that. Everything fit fine. I ran them in modified Hyperfire, Honey Badger, Accustrike, and the followers were able to keep up, no problem. Functionally, they work fine, they fit fine. Like I said, the only issue I had was just I just needed to straighten out the top of the hole here, which you could even do with like a penknife or X-Acto or pretty much anything you could find. Just straighten that up just a little bit. And for how cheap you're getting these, I mean, just a couple bucks each. You know, depending on how many you buy, you can buy these, I think, in singles, doubles, and triples, and there might even be a set of 4s you can get these in. But yeah, you're looking at just a couple bucks, and I'm willing to spend, you know, a minute or two straightening up a little hole if I'm going to save a ton of money on it. Because buying the Nerf brand ones, if you get with the flip clip or whatever, the modulus thing, you're still paying close to 15 bucks for 2, so you're talking like 7 bucks. If you're paying like 3, I'm totally going to sit down with a file, and I'm willing to straighten up a hole to, you know, save more than half of the money. So these, I definitely give these a solid buy. One of these, I actually, in the course of testing magazine well fit, I actually dropped one of these on the concrete from a standing height a couple times, actually, trying to get things all ironed out, and I was kind of afraid they'd, you know, crack or anything like that. And honest, is this the one? This might be it. Fared a lot better than I expected. You know, some of these cheaper Chinese plastics tend to be a little bit brittle, but you know, the first time it fell out, I was really thinking it was going to be busted up a little bit. But no, it fared fine. Didn't have to worry about the follower getting all crooked or wanting to come out when I dropped it or anything like that. I'm really, really impressed with these, and I would assume that the same quality stands for the different colors, but these are definitely definitely a solid buy. I mean, I'm planning on picking up some more of these when I can get some money together for another order. Just because I do like 12s, especially for loaners and stuff like that, at least for the casual games we have around the house and, you know, around here. Just because it is nice to keep them a little more compact. But no, that's a buy. I'm very confident in these 12-round magazines, and of course I'll put a link to those in the description below. Final item on the list is these Accustrike Clone darts, often called Accu-Fakes, which is a bit of a silly name, but I suppose an accurate name. I got these in red and in blue. They both perform very admirably. I mean, I was pretty sold on waffle darts when they first came out due to the accuracy and the price compared to other alternatives. I thought Koosh was cool when everybody was doing Koosh, then waffles came out, and I thought waffles were going to be the end-all. But no, these, I was actually really impressed with these. I actually had a war, just kind of a family war. Had some people over in the backyard, and had a war using strictly these. I got a rather large load of them, and it's actually weird firing darts and having them hit what you aim at. I mean, especially after using a lot of stock darts and, you know, other third-party alternatives. Some are better than others, but these are like remarkably accurate. I mean, I don't know if it's the weight distribution or if it is in the gimmick of the head design or whatever it is, but at range, you do have to arc your shots a little bit more because I think they are a heavier dart, and so they don't get quite the range. But I would gladly sacrifice a little range to actually be able to hit what I'm aiming at that range. In fact, it was really weird being in the war, you know, just running around, you know, shooting, and actually having to worry about shots that were coming because I knew that they had an accurate trajectory, and it wasn't like, oh, there's darts coming my way, they probably won't hit me. It's like they're coming this way and I'm probably going to get tagged. And there's a lot more tagging going on in this war, which did make it a lot more fun and involved a lot more running, which wasn't that cool. But you know, after testing these, not just in the war, but a lot of more static testing, just doing more kind of laboratory-based, you know, firing at a target, stuff like that, running them through springers, through flywheelers of differing performances, ran them through different crush cages, stock, and I've got I think a 43 point whatever, not a super high crush, kind of a medium range, but yeah, through the whole spectrum of performance with these darts, and they're very consistent. I mean, I was getting, you know, it's where some darts tend to be better for springers versus flywheelers just because of the head design or the foam consistency or whatever. I got consistent results with whatever I put these through, which was very nice. I did try them through a brass barrel on a air blaster, which I didn't like, just because I think the head is a bit large for that application. But for mostly like stock-based blasters and stuff, I'm pretty well sold on them. The orders I got, or this shipment, I think I got 200 of these and 100 of these. But when I was looking, after doing, experimenting with these for a while, I looked up on the Lite website, and you can get 1,000 of these for like 20 bucks, 22 something or whatever, just ridiculously cheap. I think shipping hits you a little bit because it is a rather large package, but I'm planning on picking up some of those as well, once I can get some money together. In fact, I would like to buy, a couple thousand of these just to have, because they are so consistent performance-wise, and the foam is actually really good. I mean, the blue is on par with the waffle darts we've been getting, but the red I actually like a little bit more. It's very very similar, and probably actually is the same material as the men gun darts that I really liked, that I don't believe you can get anymore. I haven't seen them listed for quite a while, but it is the same, rather solid foam. They did seem a bit resilient. I mean, having a bunch of little kids running around on them and the dog stepping on them and things like that, they still feel very nice. The glue is pretty good. It's not so much around the head as it is on the stem. There's obviously glue around the head, but where we had problems with the Accustrike darts in the past, and even some of the waffle darts, where the glue gushes around the outside and can gum up flywheels and cause problems, most of the glue is down on the stem and only a little bit around the head. So sometimes you do get the side kind of peeling up a little bit, but it's still a very, very solid adhesion. So, like I said, I'm very happy with the performance of these, and I do plan on getting more. I'll put the link to these in the description as well, so if you like the sound of them, you can get them as well. And that pretty well wraps things up for the Lite package I got. Not everything was great, not everything was horrible. Some things better than others, but that's to be expected. I am happy that the rival rounds turned out to be as good as they were. I'm happy that the magazines turned out as good as they were, and I'm really, really happy with these Accustrike knockoff darts. It is unfortunate that the Mega darts, both varieties, were, kind of a letdown, and the holster thing wasn't really stellar either, but at least now we know. And as I said before, I'll put the links to all of these items that I reviewed in the description box below, so you can make your choices there. And if you do decide to make an order, remember the promo code NERFMR to save a little bit extra on full-priced items. And we'll see you next time.